Huge anti-military protests are taking place in Myanmar in one of the largest shows of defiance since the coup 2 weeks ago. Tens of thousands of people, including celebrities, joined a rally in the biggest city Yangon, as well as in the capital Naypyidaw and in Mandalay. Our correspondent Jonathan Head says they're trying to make the country ungovernable.
The groundswell of anger about this coup, this sense of injustice, is really what's driving people. And this is the 12th day they've done these protests. It affects people's livelihoods. People are willing to sacrifice a great deal, including almost the collapse of health services in places, because it was doctors and medical workers who started this idea of non-cooperation with the military regime. Banking services have almost stopped functioning, so people are running out of cash. People are really going to suffer economically because of this protest, and yet the numbers are still very, very big.
South Africa is starting its vaccination campaign against the coronavirus today. It's using the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the first country in the world to do so. Among the first to get the jab is President Cyril Ramaphosa, along with thousands of healthcare workers. Mr. Ramaphosa said he wanted to allay any fears that people might have about the injection. The man portrayed as a hero in a Hollywood movie about the Rwandan genocide, Hotel Rwanda, has appeared in court for the start of his trial. Paul Rusesabagina is facing terrorism charges with 20 others. His lawyers have, in the past, denied the charges. His daughter, Anais Kamemba, said he had not been treated fairly.
This is not a real trial. This is a sham trial. My father was kidnapped from Dubai to Rwanda. He was tortured for 3 days. He was not allowed to have any counsel of his choosing for the first 70 days. He has been denied a legal international lawyer, which is allowed in Rwanda.
Mr. Rusesabagina, a critic of President Paul Kagame, was arrested in Rwanda last year after apparently being tricked into boarding a flight which he had thought was headed to Burundi. A former minister in India has lost his defamation case against a female journalist, Priya Ramani, who accused him of being a sexual predator. From Mumbai, Yogita Lemoye reports.
Journalist Priya Ramani had written an article in Vogue magazine in 2017 recounting predatory behaviour by an unnamed former boss. A year later, during the Me Too movement, she declared on social media that the man she had written about was MJ Akbar, a former newspaper editor who at the time was India's junior foreign minister. He stepped down from his position after the scandal and filed a defamation suit against Ms. Ramani, which an Indian court has now struck down. In an interview to the NDTV channel, Ms. Ramani said she hopes the verdict will encourage more women to speak out about sexual harassment.
World News from the BBC. Gunmen have stormed a boys' boarding school in north-central Nigeria and have abducted an unknown number of students. A local official at the school in Kagara town in Niger State told the BBC that the gunmen had attacked the institution early on Wednesday. Whilst it's not clear who was behind the raid, kidnappings for ransom are rampant across north and central Nigeria. The jailed former banker, once seen as the main challenger to President Alexander Lukashenko in Belarus, has gone on trial in Minsk. Viktor Babarika denies charges of taking bribes and money laundering. His arrest disqualified him from the presidential election last August. His campaign manager, Maria Kolyesnikova, then backed Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, who many opposition supporters believe beat Mr. Lukashenko. Britain is to become the first country in the world to allow volunteers to be deliberately exposed to coronavirus to advance medical research into the pandemic. The trial will see about 90 healthy paid volunteers aged between 18 and 30 exposed to COVID-19 in a controlled environment. The study will initially seek to establish the smallest amount of virus needed to cause infection. Japan's Olympics Minister Seiko Hashimoto has been chosen as the preferred candidate to lead the Tokyo Olympics Organising Committee after its former head was forced to step down for making sexist remarks. Will Leonardo reports.
Seiko Hashimoto is a former Olympic speed skater and cyclist who appeared for Japan at 7 Winter and Summer Games. She's been Olympics Minister since 2019 and as one of only 2 women in cabinet is also in charge of gender equality. Her nomination is intended as a clean break from the sexism scandal which surrounded the 83-year-old former Olympics chief Yoshiro Modi. He resigned last week after he suggested women spoke too much in meetings. If Ms Hashimoto accepts the role, she'll take charge of delivering the Games barely 5 months before the opening ceremony and as Japanese public opinion hardens against holding them because of the pandemic.